share the correct screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to RaceFace, and glad to be back. Glad to be back in the box, and well, the person that is going to be joining me in the box and having a bit of fun is Yanniman Price. Yanniman, welcome back to all the action. Round 2, Brands Hatch, and this is going to be an incredible one.
Yeah, good evening, Stephen. Good evening, everybody. After my unplanned evening off last night, which didn't go as planned, looking forward tonight to some not sprint racing, but some serious racing tonight. It's Thursday night, Stephen, and we are at Brands Hatch, as you mentioned, and I'm going to let you do the talking about Brands Hatch, as I know it's one of your favorite tracks.
It's ultimately the track that you can make it or break it, lose it, or manage to survive all the carnage, full of thrills and spills. But we're actually going to go jump on board because, Jan, we actually went and hijacked the camera on Ryan Otten. So,
nice.
Jumping onto our track preview brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace. Let's go around Brands Hatch and see how it all turns out. Heading into turn 1, called the Podium Hill. Gonna back it down into third gear. Try keep it high revs. Nail it back into fourth. Now heading into turn 2. Hard braking zone. If you can get up on the inside and force your opponents out wide, they'll end up losing a lot of drive or go sailing into the grass. You're heading down turn 3 into turn 4. Hard on brake. Second gear. High second gear to make sure you get enough of pace out the corner. Make sure not to run too far, otherwise you will land up with a penalty. Into turn 6, and this is where you got to feather the throttle all the way through. Make sure you get the drive out and down for the big straight. This is where you want to get into the toe of your competitors. Pull yourself along and let the competitors do all the work before you dive up on the inside. Heading into turn 7, you can force them out wide. Just make sure you get the line just right, otherwise you're going to be sailing off into the bushes. Now it's time to play follow the leader through turn 8. And it is going to be a crazy one right till turn 9. Follow leader, you can try up the inside, but you will lose a lot of grip. This is where we're going to see the front tires take a huge knock before you brake hard into Master's Corner, into second gear, up into third. Get your drive up and going before you make your way towards the final corner of Brands Hatch, as Ryan Ottens from the Hybrid Academy team goes and took us around it. So big thank you, Ryan. We hijacked your camera, and don't tell anyone.
Stephen, looking at that lap from Ryan, I think it's safe to say around this track of Brands Hatch that understeer might be an issue, and those front tires are going to take a hammering, and understeer, as we all know, is definitely not your friend.
Absolutely, and while we got a couple of the cars on and we've got some time, let's take a look at our standings after round 1. Round 1 being Philip Midor taking 50 points, along with Christian Deploy, Bernard Barkhuizen in 3rd place, Daniel Rowe down in 4th, Bego Krobler, his teammate, lying in 5th place, Morgan McCall after a triumphant drive all the way back into 6th place, Mac van der Merwe in 7th, followed by Gideon Rayner in 8th, 9th place is Henry Meyer, Ilof in 10th place, going and rounding out our top 10. It looks like the team's trying to work together to claw their way through, but let's see how it all turns out during tonight's race, where I think it's going to be a little bit more tricky.
Still very early days in the championship. I mean, we've only done one race so far. Tonight, only the second race of the championship. So, as I said, still very early days, but I don't know. You mentioned teams. Do you think this early in the season there might already be some teamwork at play?
I think there's going to be some talking, and there's going to be a little bit of teamwork. The guys having to work their way through. So for the fastest lap time based on last night was a 1:22.4. Cody Sherritt going in first place. He's at the moment doing a 1:22.6, trying to improve his lap time. Can he get it down? 1:22.3. So the fastest time we've seen. Ryan Otters trying to chase him down in the Porsche. Ryan had a great run in the Wednesday GT3 series. Now hoping that he can carry the momentum through and all the strategy from last night's race into this 1 hour, 20-minute race, and also to plan out the pit stops accordingly to make sure that he can claw his way to the top. Bernard Barkhuizen, keep an eye on this man over here. Last night won the race, was leading out by 10 seconds, dropped down to around about 6 seconds, but that Aston Martin is set up to go. It's on rails at the moment, so keep an eye on the KSR driver, Bernard Barkhuizen. And we'll take a look. Jumping up into first place, not to have his championship affected at this point, is Philip Minnaar. He's putting in the quickest lap time, 122.36. Just ahead, 360. I'm going to put that up because Cody Sharrett has done a 122.362 as his quickest lap time. So keep an eye on it. Ryan Otten's down into fifth place, trying to improve his lap time. He wasn't able to do it this time. Sujin Pillay going and taking his way around the course. He's in that Hybrid Academy Ferrari, but you'll also see it's got 70 years of Ferrari on the side with a shell as a bit of a nod to Ferrari, saying thank you very much. Not the Fiat this time. He decided to give the nod to 75 years to Ferrari and say thank you very much. I really do appreciate for keeping into it. So really good to see back out onto the circuit. Brandon Kruger also want to keep an eye out for. Made some moves in round number 1, looking to improve. Has been having a good run around Brands Hatch in practice. He's hoping that's going to carry enough momentum through. Jason McGregor as well in the Honda, in the Marlboro colors, and the hybrid Marlboro. You got to point to that. It's a hybrid Marlboro. You can't just... does that count as a vape, though? It's not quite Marlboro, the usual one that we know, but could be the vape.
I don't know where you're going with that. I was more thinking in the lines of, is that Honda a hybrid?
Well, it can. If you don't put fuel in it and you just rely on the starter motor.
Essentially, then you are running on battery power, aren't you?
Well, there we go. Summed it up.
Yeah, a starter can be an electric motor.
That's the ways people can look at it. We've got to be careful of how it all works. So, a lot of movers and shakers to keep an eye on. And one thing that you weren't around for last night, Christopher Radloff, who is part of the Hybrid Academy Team Fury, actually trading out. He was part of a group of sim racers that went and went and test drove a Toyota Yaris GR, and his teammates actually managed to get ahead. Tariq Adam is going to be participating in the season, along with the second driver being Ryan Ottens, who's the reserve driver. Christopher Radloff has come from a racing background, is going to be watching his two guys really have a bit of fun in Toyota Yaris. So keep an eye out on him. He's switched out the Toyota for a bit of BMW power to hopefully claw his way through the field. Seeing that now, turn 1, we talked about Podium Hill being very tricky. Well, when you're coming out the pits, and considering we have got 2 stops, one thing you have to be very careful of is landing up, not being able to take the apex. Because as you can see, you swing your nose in, go past the pit lane, and if you have a car that's a little bit too slow on the apex, while you make your way down Podium Hill, you're going to go farming. Well, I can only describe it as you'll go to those Zen Gardens. Put a couple of strips down the Zen Garden.
Well, that Zen Garden has got a very hard, nasty wall on it as well, as I found out on my last race at Brands. But Steve, I'm going to lean on you a little bit regarding this one because I was absent last night. How did the tires look? I mean, I see these guys, as we have a look there, Philip Minnaar using every single inch of the racetrack. How did the tires look after 45 minutes of sprint racing?
Well, you couldn't get much from it, but I actually had a chat to a couple of the drivers to find out what exactly was going on. People are driving the Aston Martins. They said the front tires started wearing out quite a bit. BMWs, oddly enough, were equal wear out onto the tires, so the guys weren't struggling. Slight understeer, nothing too hectic. The Mercedes, being the front engine car and a little bit heavier on the nose, landed up taking a thorough beating. And that's what Christian Deploy was going and talking about, that it took a nasty time to try and get those tires. And once it starts scrubbing out, you're in for a difficult run. Rear engine cars, much like your mid-engine Porsches, also not too bad. And your Hondas also playing really good. Surprising enough, had to be the Audis, having just enough rotation on them to make their way around the corners easier, but not to have too much tire wear on the right-hand side compared to the other vehicles. So keep an eye out on the Audi drivers. They may have an idea how to go and outlast the competition in this entire race. So that being said, it's going to be a hard charge to try and beat this man here. 122.067, Cody Sherritt hoping to try and get his way to the front and looking to break into that 121. Getting caught up behind some traffic, and that is Nicholas Manuel, by the looks of it. Yep, Nicholas Manuel allowing by, and Nicholas Manuel part of the ZA Racing M4. So good to see him out there and really putting on a good show. Now there's one I have to attempt, and this is this man here.
Go for it.
This is Loic Randabel. I actually asked Loic about how to say his name correctly because I've butchered it so hard. He said it was painful.
So I was wrong with Randable.
It's not Randable.
So it's Randable.
Randable.
Like Randable.
It's a bit of a mix from French and Australian, and actually one of our more foreign drivers coming out and having a bit of fun. So, Loic, hopefully I got your name right this time. If not, I look forward to the WhatsApp later.
send a voice note.
Well, let's go through 3 minutes left. We got Cody Sherritt up in first place, Philip Minnaar in second, Bernard Barkhuizen in third, Christian Deploy in fourth place, Ryan Ottens in fifth, Brandon Kruger in sixth, Surgeon Pillay in seventh, eighth place is Tion Ilof, followed by Henry Mayer, Christian Fenter, Jason McGregor lying in 11th place, while Tim the cameraman trying to find it. Mac van der Merwe in 12th place, Tim the cameraman again, followed by Christopher Radloff, who's making his way through. Jean Kleinans, Bago Krobler, Daniel Rowe a little bit further down. He's in 16th place. Daniel Rowe had a difficult time last night and is hoping to go back on the charge. BMW doesn't seem to be too happy around this circuit. We've seen him really claw his way through. Maybe he's going to pull a rabbit out of the hat this time around. Fleming Bauer in 17th place. 18th is Justin Losis. Morgan McCall down into 19th place. Now trying to utilize the toe of his teammate. Very, very good move to try and move yourself up. So, let's see how that's going to work out. SES House in 20th. 21st, Gideon Rayner. And, well, he's actually dropped down to 23rd. There's a couple of changes going on. So, lots of movers and shakers going on. And Philip Minnaar down into second place. 0.1 up on his time. Can he carry enough momentum to claw his way through? It's going to be close, so to get to Cody Sherritt's time is no easy feat. And definitely low fuel runs happening right now. And you can see Philip really just sliding that Aston Martin around. No care in the world. TC off, any traction control 1, 2 off, and going for an absolute crazy time. Bernard Barkhuizen also going a little bit up on his time. So is Ryan Ottens, and it looks like he's getting caught behind Brandon Kruger trying to use the toe of that Aston Martin. Will he be able to go up on the inside? No! Turns out there's a little bit of a slow call. That's going to impact his time. And so we got one of the BMWs pulling off. Oh, Ryan Ottens.
Ouch.
Going and clipping the grass. And let's actually go back a little bit. And you can see, just...
I lost it before. Yeah.
The Porsche doing what a Porsche does best, and that's the tail end meeting the front end to just check if the engine needs to be put in the right place again.
In all fairness to Ryan, he didn't pick up any snap oversteer there, so well done to him. That's also an illness of the Porsche that I've suffered many a time.
Brandon Kruger, 0.2 up on his lap time, currently in sixth. Will it be enough? No, maintains 6 and drifts it. I think people are starting to get in the Fast and Furious mood. Slide it around. Oh, Philip Minnaar going off into the dirt. That's not going to help his time, and it's going to put an end to his hopes to try go for that first place. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to improve his lap time. Jason McGregor down in 11th place, 0.3 up on his lap time. And let's see if the hybrid Melbro will be able to keep it up, going 0.4 of a second faster than his last lap time, utilizing as much as the curb as possible, hard onto the brakes, and you can see slight slide from the car as he makes his way heading into the final corner. This is where you can lose all the time if you get your gearing just wrong. Tries to line it up, gets on the power, very, very close. Is 0.3 going to be enough to get him into that top 10? Now there are qualifying's over and across the line. He moves up into 6th place. So absolutely phenomenal shakes there. Oh, De Villiers just going in, deciding to venture off into the wall very quickly.
Brakes not necessary.
No, that's it. Don't worry, the brakes at the end of the wall will do it. But Cody Sherritt up in first place. Philip Minard in second. Bernard Barkhuizen making his way around. He's going to be in third place. Christian Deploy in fourth. Ryan Ottens in fifth. Jason McGregor in sixth. Brandon Kruger in seventh. Sujin Pillay in eighth. Ninth, Tielan Ilof, who's trying to make his way up, but just not faster than his last lap time in terms of the previous delta. So he's going to hold that ninth place. Henry Mayer in 10th place. That is your top 10 at the moment. And wow, I think we're in for a great time of racing this evening. I'm really excited. And Janneman, what's your thoughts onto this?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking through that leaderboard means, Stephen, you can basically say the top 15 separated by a little over a second. Even 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th place not that far behind.
Now, remember, the drivers are going to do half a lap. So they're going to have about 2 corners to try and, well, less than half a lap. They're going to have 2 corners to try and heat up the... As we cut back to our drive, and there's a shot of all the cars lined up, and we're going to go to Janet in the helicam just to give us a bit of an insight. But there we go. As you can see how narrow the track is just on the towards the final corner, so the guys are going to have to really try and figure it out. But turn 1, I feel, is going to be the difficult one for everyone, and well, I'm not quite sure how it's going to work out. Bernard Barkhuizen, and this is his view, he's up into third place, staring at the back of Cody Sherritt and the likes of Philip Minard just ahead of him. I don't know, nerves are going to be on edge. My nerves. I am currently waiting to see what happens. I'm super excited to see what happens, but at the same time, incredibly nervous of what is going to happen when it is go time for these drivers. You can see the guys have not dropped their cars down to the ground as yet. They're keeping them up just to make sure they can maintain some heat into those tires. And that's one of the tricks with the sim. You let that clock run down. You keep it up as high as possible. You wait for the last 5 seconds, drop it down, go. But if you're a little bit too late, well, you're in a bit of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you'll be starting from the pits. Steven, yeah, I'm also a bit nervous. I mean, turn 1, podium hill. Just after that, if you go down the hill, it's the hairpin. Lap 1, the cars are going to be running super close together. But having said all that, we know the caliber of these drivers. I mean, these are some of the best drivers that we've got in South African sim racing. So that calms me down a bit, but let's say a bit.
Well, as they get going, and as Mr. JD gone and put onto Twitch on Mettlestate saying some ACC action, and I have to agree with him. This is going to be incredible. Remember, they got 2 mandatory pit stops to do in this 1 hour, 20-minute race, and we're going to be having go time. They're going to back it up to 70 kilometers an hour. No overtaking. Make sure you get up to go, because when green lights hit, it is race on for round number 2 of the Grid Championship Season 2 at Brands Hatch. There's the green flags, and away we go. Cody Sherritt trying to go and lock down that first place. It looks like Philip Minard going and doing what he can to try and hold back. Christian Deploy going out a bit wide, and now has Bernard Barkhuizen nailing it up on the inside. A little bit further back, Ryan Otten's trying what he can to see where is there a gap available. Brandon Kruger going on the defensive. Jason McGregor trying to come back at him. Henry Mayer, who has moved up and now under some serious threat as they make their way through. Little bit of dipping on the grass, but so far all clean at the moment. Back up to our podium spots though, and you can see Philip Minard is on a hot charge to go after Cody Sherritt. Now remember, Cody unfortunately had some failures in race number 1. Actually got to chat to Alan Patterson when he brought it up. Said there was a failure. They managed to get it sorted out, so he is on a redemption drive at this point for the championship. Philip Minard, who's leading the championship, will have to try and get past the man and see how it's all going to work. A little bit further back though, Christian Venter under some serious pressure from Sujin Pillay while he's going after Henry Mayer. You can see, just follow the leader. Little bit of sideways action. It looked like Henry Mayer actually going and losing out a bit of time there. It's allowed the grid to get up. Mac van der Merwe also trying what he can to close down. Daniel Rowe shot up to 12th position at the moment. He is part of the front engines that's trying to get past one of his teammates, which is Sujin Pillay just ahead. But lap times from that rolling start starting to come in, and the guys are putting some really, really fast lap times. If we talk about from start to where they are now on screen, it says 6 minutes. But if you actually calculate it, they are about just over 2 minutes 30 seconds, which is incredibly quick for the guys to go and build up a bit of pace.
Absolutely. And I was just on the start or throughout the first lap, keeping a bit of an eye on the mid to the rear end of the field. And Stephen, at this stage, we've got Bago Groble in 17th position and Morgan McCall trailing at this stage a bit in 20th position. I've seen Morgan put 1 or 2 wheels on the grass. But at this stage, it does look like he's trying to fight his way back up to the front of the field again.
He's going to have to dig deep and try and figure out. I know that Mr. McCall is going and keeping an eye on all the action at the moment and busy trying to work out what's going to be the right moves, what is going to need to be done to get his son right up to the top. Unfortunately, Junior not in the race at the moment, and we look forward to seeing Junior coming back and racing with his brother Morgan McCall. But Morgan really turning some heads at the moment. We know he's got the pace, but can he just make it stick for this first race? Back up to our front, though, you can see Cody Scherer and Philip Minor still duking out. Philip Minor trying to hunt down that inside line the whole time and try and force a mistake to happen. Sujin Pillay actually getting a little bit upset and lands off into the dirt and getting overtaken by the entirety of the field. What has happened to Sujin Pillay? Let's go back a little bit in through the final corner and actually duck onto the helmet cam. Heading towards Podium Hill, all looking okay. We do know that the Ferraris do get a little bit light into turn 1. Trying his best, though. Oh!
Rear end.
Rear end came out underneath him. I think he came into the corner a little bit too hot. Just missed the braking marker. And unfortunately, it landed up going and costing him dearly. But that's what happens. It's so easy to do because Podium Hill is one of these corners that you can't brake later. You can't just try and move yourself forward. You're going to have to be patient with it. Christopher Radloff going after the likes of Gideon Rayner. 0.1, and we also got notification that now pit window is open, and the guys are going to be really looking to claw their way through.
So, here's the question. It being such a short lap time, I mean, we're talking 1 minute 22, 1 minute 23 seconds. Do you think, question answered, do you think some of the guys will be pitting early as we see guys diving into the pits already? It's risky, Stephen. You need to do a quick pit stop. Otherwise, you'll end up being lap traffic.
It's going to be absolutely incredible. I don't know. It's going to be hard planning. And, well, it's going to be one of these try your best moments and keep going. I see Alan Patterson actually going and letting us know a bit of information there. Thanks, Alan. I really do appreciate it. Fellow commentator and also team owner of PWSR. So out on YouTube going and supporting his drivers. So good to see that coming out. Pit stop strategies. It's going to be a difficult one. I'm going to have to say the best time at this point is going to be the 50-minute mark when it's going to be a little bit earlier for the first pit stop, around about the 50-minute mark. Try and get there before the pit lane gets a bit too busy. Then try and get your second pit stop as late as... Oh, we see... I think that was back from the move. That's Gideon Rayner who got out of shape. Gideon Rayner came round and let's see what actually happened. I've got to suspect that he put a wheel on the dirt and that just allowed the McLaren to rotate just a little bit too much. Making his way through over the curb. Super close to the dirt. Nothing there. Fighting his way through, down on the braking.
Oh yeah.
Completely just overshooting the curb. Decided to go a little bit too much, and unfortunately, that has really thrown him out. And have to try and claw his way back through the field. Not quite the way you want it, but it does happen.
fortunately for him, he landed up on the inside of the track. If he landed up on the racing line, I mean, going through there, it's pretty much a blind corner. I mean, we could have seen a pretty big accident there as the field followed him after his accident.
And also seeing Ethan Lacuna going and jumping in to show a bit of support. So good to see guys going and enjoying Ethan Lacuna, actually one of our regular drivers. Now watching our pros go out in action. That's I wonder why it's not here. And taking a look at Ryan Otten's going after Christian Ploy, getting into the toe, trying to pull himself along. It does look like Christian Ploy just having a little bit more straight line at the moment compared to Ryan Otten's, but we do know the Porsches, naturally they do have a advantage if you can drive them properly, which we've seen Ryan Otten's do. He can pull a rabbit out of the hat with it.
Which
But
I can't.
we do know Porsches have a tendency to murder anyone that they feel is not deemed worthy.
Me being one of them. Look, I love the Porsche. I've got nothing against the Porsche, but yeah, Stephen, I'm one of those guys that normally get murdered. I was talking about the snap oversteer previously. It tends to happen to me quite a lot.
It's going to be one of those things, and Ethan Lacuna has been informed by the local power station that he will be watching the shows tonight. So
just one quick thing, Stephen. Have a look on the timing boards. We've got 2 purple lap times. Cody Sheriff, Philip Minard putting in exactly the same fastest lap of a 1 minute 22.672. Matched to the thousands.
Okay, I want to point this out. In my entire sim racing escapade, I'm going to call it an escapade, I have never seen 2 drivers, now trying to get around Loic, Cody Sherritt really doing it, but 2 drivers putting in the exact same best lap time. I haven't seen it, and I'm going.
I thought it was a fault on the system, so I had a look on our system on the side, and I saw it's exactly the same lap time.
Screenshot that. That is worth a send. And well, Alan, I know you're in the chat, but I don't know if you've actually seen it in your time of broadcasting and ACC racing, but your driver out there putting in a incredible lap time, but Philip Minard not holding back at this point, slightly as fast. The last lap time was a 122.8. As we jump back to Christian Deploy and Ryan Otten, still slugging it out between the 2 of them, and they are on a proper charge to try and get round. But Christian Deploy now starting to make that Merc as wide as possible. I think, and I've said this before, Bernard Barkhuizen actually dropping down into 6th place. I think Bernard actually might have had a disconnection. Yeah, he jumps off the timing board, so I think we've lost Bernard Barkhuizen, who won the race last night. Now not having a fun time.
Yeah, I know exactly how that feels, because that's basically what happened to me last night.
All right,
it's not fun.
Well, Christian Deploy now got a problem. Ryan Otten's right behind him. Bragan Kruger just behind, and now they're caught behind Loic heading into Podium Hill. This means he's going to have to slow it up and allows Ryan Ottens and Bragan Kruger to get a little bit more of a run. Ryan Ottens is going to try to look on the inside. Couldn't make it. Loic actually moving out of the way. And looks like Brandon just outbraking himself ever so slightly into turn 2. So some very close action between them. Daniel Rowe actually landing up with a problem. He's falling down the hill. And Morgan McCall, Fleming Bauer managing to jump up. Jason McGregor facing the wrong direction. Not quite where you want to be. And, well, it's a good thing GT3 cars have a reverse gear. But what on earth happened to him? Heading down Podium Hill, touching a little bit of dirt there, getting a little bit of dirt on the tires. Not quite what you want to have. All seemingly okay at the moment. Trying to move his way around into turn 3. Hard on the brakes. Oh!
Rear intercept up.
There we go, rear into... Ooh! It's super close. It did look like one of the Aston Martins just narrowly missing the likes of Jason McGregor. And I'm sure there was a very interesting sound that came out of that one.
Yeah, I think you know all about the sounds I tend to make when I race and there's close calls. You tend to know about it.
It's absolutely, and Alan Patterson confirming he's never seen a double lap time like that. So if the three of us haven't seen it, and well, in our time of history, I think it's something to be extremely proud of to see it. So congratulations to Cody Sherritt and Philip
Well,
Minnar.
I'm actually hoping that it. I kind of doubt it, but I'm actually hoping it stands until the end of the race.
Oh, the way the two are battling it out, but I wonder how it's all going to work out between them. But at the moment, this little three-way battle for third, fourth, and fifth, so close to one another. Ryan Orton's trying to go up on the inside. Christian Deploy could not make it stick. The Hybrid Academy driver going after the ATK driver, with Brandon Kruger just lurking in the wings of KSR Prism. And this is a difficult situation. A little bit of follow leader. Ryan Otten's super close, getting a lot of tow. So is Brandon Kruger. Brandon actually getting a phenomenal drive, but you got to remember, when you're sitting so close to the car ahead of you, you have no downforce on your nose. You're relying on pure mechanical grip, and that's going to start impacting your tires as the race goes on. So you guys have to keep that in mind while they're racing so close to one another. And just to throw it in there, one mistake, just takes one mistake, one little sideways action, and it will change everyone's race that is in the battle. And these three pro drivers are starting to feel it. While first and second have run away, I mean, take a look. Philip Minnar has put a 4.7 second gap ahead of Christian Deploy, while Cody Sherritt's got a 1.3 second gap ahead. So Cody Sherritt has legged it close on to 6 seconds away from this battle, and is ensuring he can keep up and keep going. A little bit further down, Mac van der Merwe having a good run with Kleinans as they look to do battle, a bit of a Honda Audi battle, as they're making their way through and having a bit of a close run to it. So while this is all happening, 1 hour 6 minutes done. We haven't quite done the 20 minutes as yet. Guys are really trying to make it stick. Your thoughts into how the tire wear is going to be going on with these cars?
Well, firstly, I want to say, having a quick look at this, it does seem like the Porsche of Ryan does have the upper hand through a corner like Podium Hill coming up next. The front engine cars, they did seem to struggle a bit in the beginning part of the race. Now it looks like they're starting to hook up. Steve, I don't know. I think the front engine cars they're gonna feel those front tires somewhere through the race. Very much doubt if they're gonna go very deep into the race before pitting for new tires. I might be horribly wrong. Rear engine cars, I don't know. That's a bit of an unknown for me at this stage. But it does look like that Porsche's got better rotation in the tight corners, but then coming onto the straight, it looks like the Ploy is pulling away, and then Ottens comes under more pressure from Kruger.
Well, this is absolutely just all about pushing it. Brandon Kruger really doing what he can to try and close it. I mean, if we jump on board the helmet, we can just see how much input is going into the steering at this moment, trying to carry the car through. You can see little turns every so often, just little movements to try and settle the Aston Martin as he chases down the Porsche. Oh, it's a big snap rotation. Yeah. He was able to save it, but not quite what you wanted to have.
And I just wanted to say, as we have Kleinans going off, luckily he was able...
That's Mac van der Merwe that went off. And Kleinan's getting by, and Mac van der Merwe now feeling the pressure. Christopher Radloff trying to come past him now. Tries to go around the outside, couldn't make it stick. A little bit further behind, Morgan McCall, Fleming Bauer, and Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe actually first heading into the pits for the team. But taking a look, Henry Mayer has already done his pit stop. Bager Crawler's done his pit stop. Renner, Surgeon Pillay, they've done their pit stops. So some early stops within the top hour. And, well, I'm going to say it's actually interesting to see how it all is going to play out. Ryan Ottens, who is really on a hard charge. If we actually jump on board with the Porsche, we can see also You can see slight little movements done to the steering to try and settle the car through and keep it all going. Now starting to get a bit closer to back markers, and this is where he can try and link it up, get it all sorted, and move his way through. It's going to be a challenge. I think Ryan Ottens, Christian De Ploy, Brandon Kruger are going to try and see if they can box each other in with the back marker that's just ahead of them. And I've got a funny feeling that that back marker has to be Justin Lotus, who's going to be keeping a very big eye on the mirrors at this point. If we jump on board with him, you can see just in that review camera, he can see the guys closing up on him at a rate of knots, and going to make life a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough getting lapped by one car, but now you've got third, fourth, and fifth bearing down on you. 3 cars that you need to let by, and basically in the space of a couple of seconds, because you've got nowhere or no space to slot in between them.
It's all or nothing at this point to try and make up as much ground, and it's going to be a very difficult run for all the drivers. I mean, if we take a look, we bring up the track map at the moment. Take a look at how busy the track is. You have got 33 cars that started. Bernard Barkhuizen is still in the pit, so we've got 32 cars rotating at the moment. But that's how busy the circuit is. There is no breathing room for anyone at this point. Doesn't matter whether you're in first or last.
Yeah, Ryan Otten's now really starting to put a lot of pressure on Christian De Ploy. I think he's trying to use the car in front of De Ploy as a means to get by. He's seriously starting to put pressure on him. Just quickly, something I want to touch on. When you went in car with Ryan Ottens, it does look like the Porsche's got a little bit more of a stable rear end than what the Aston Martin of Kruger's got.
Well, another thing I want to point out, take a look at Philip Minnaar and Cody Sherritt. Philip Minnaar has closed up that 1.4 seconds right onto the back of Cody Sherritt. Cody now trying to keep it all together. The Aston Martin sliding their way around. These two have got the best lap time. They both purple. Last lap time though, Philip Minnaar actually doing a 123.1 versus like a Cody Sherritt doing 123.6. So Cody going and coming off the gas a little bit just to settle himself out, and maybe thinking long term of trying to save a bit of fuel, save a little bit on the tires, and moving forward that way. Another close little battle is Christopher Radloff along with Morgan McCall. Morgan trying to pressurize Radloff into a bit of a problem at this point. Radloff going and trying to block up as much as possible. I think that BMW can open both its doors to make it a little bit wider. He would be doing it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've actually got quite a couple of little battles going on up and down the field, not just in the front half of the field, but also a little bit lower down. There's quite a few little battles going on, and it's good to see. I mean, we are 20 minutes into the race. The race has not, I wouldn't say the race is settled yet, Stephen.
No, very, very far from it. That's for certain. You can see Christian Venter trying his best to go around SES house, look left, look right, look, and go back into it, slowing himself a little bit, but the two Hondas also slugging it out. They are actually fighting for 25th, 26th position, and as you brought up, lots of little battles. I want to talk about a couple of things. Krista Bastos, who sorry, it wasn't De Villiers, well, it might have been De Villiers that went in. Bastos got similar colored Ferrari. He's actually first that's completed all his mandatory pit stops. Nicholas Manuel also one that has completed all his pit stops. Might have been due to incidents, might have had a bit of damage to get sorted out, but technically they have completed their pit stops. They have an opportunity to claw their way through. Fleming Bauer feeling the pressure from Paul Gerber right behind Paul, really putting in a huge amount of pressure with Porsches. Once again, the Porsches proving to be a fairly dominant force and a force to be reckoned with at this point if you're getting into a side-by-side battle. Ryan Ottens jumping ahead of Christian De Ploy, so Christian losing out. Christian actually losing out to Brandon Kruger as well. Kruger not backing down. Christian De Ploy really trying to struggle. So what on earth that cost him so much time for the likes of Christian De Ploy? As we take a look, makes his way through. Ryan Ottens trying to square him up. Looks to the inside, couldn't make it stick. Tries it again. Does look like Christian De Ploy goes onto the dirt, battles to get the car back. looks to try and defend, and Kruger says, well, thank you very much, buddy. I will just come through. Sweeps across the grass and makes it stick.
That was, I think there was a couple of millimeters in between those two cars.
It was definitely a monstrous battle. Poor Gerber pulling into the pits. So he's allowing Fleming Bauer to go and keep going as he chases down Morgan McCall, getting sideways down Podium Hill. Not quite what you want to do, and lost the grip there. Not ideal for having a safe race, if I can put it that way. But how much wear and tear are going into the tires? For the likes of like Cody Sheriff, Philip Minnar, who have been pushing incredibly hard. They've been pushing one another incredibly hard. The same as Ryan Ottens, Brandon Kruger, Christian Deploy, and you go down the field. All these guys really looking on a hard charge at this point. But how much are they wearing those tires down? How much fuel are they using? Are they using more than what they've planned for their pit stop? And these are all factors that come into play. And you've got to try and figure out the long-term strategy into this hour and 20 minute race. It doesn't sound like it can be a long time. Hour and 20 minutes is, I could say, oh, well, that's a stint. Don't worry about it. But when you're in a battle like this, where you use 0.4 of a second, 0.2 of a second behind your competitor, you have to try and make sure that you're not going to go and hit the brakes and climb into the back of him. It's one of the hardest things you can be in at the time. So these are factors that every single person have to consider while they're making their moves through the field.
Well, it might also just be a case where they split it into basically two sprint races. And what I mean by that is, basically do 40 minutes, come in, get new tires, go out and do the second 40 minutes. The only thing that you need to bring into consideration is that there is another pit stop to be made. There is a second pit stop to be made, but at least it splits it in two halves regarding the tires. So you can worry a little bit less about tire wear, so to speak.
Well, I'm going to throw another thing out there, and that is what Brands Hatch is legendary for. And that is its off tracks. It is the penalties that can happen, especially heading into turn 3. Brake a little bit late, go offline, go put a wheel on the dirt, you get an off track. 3 off tracks means that you get a drive-through penalty. Drive-through penalty means ouch for your race. It's an unnecessary pit stop, as that looks to be SES House moving out of the way, allowing Cody Sherritt and Philip Minnar to get by just easy, saying, guys, doors open, enjoy, have fun, don't want to get too involved in this battle. A little bit further back, Brandon Kruger and Ryan Ottens are slugging it out amongst each other as well, hoping to move up. And down in 11th place, this Mercedes from Project Vapor, it's Andre Serradio. He was actually cheering on one of his teammates last night for the RaceFace GT3 Sprint Series. And while doing it, as mentioned, he was taking down notes on tire wear. They used a lot of the data that they gathered from his teammate last night to improve the car for this evening, to make sure that that Mercedes can be all hooked up. He's into 11th position and going to be having a chat to his pit boss, which I know is currently in his ear, telling him, listen, keep it all together, let's focus on the long game, let's work out when the guys are pitting, and we can go for it. If you take a look from 1st to 14th place, from Cody Sherritt to Daniel Demetrios Petro. I do apologize if we still get that wrong. Daniel, I do apologize, and one day we'll get it right, buddy. One day.
Today is not that day.
Today is unfortunately not the day. But from 1st to 14th, all still needing to do a stop at the moment. I mean, when are you going to do it? 54 minutes. I did say around about the 50-minute mark is going to be a good idea, and then run.
I'm going to go 40.
You think 40? But then
40.
When would you do your second pit stop?
Stephen, that is an extremely good question that you've asked. I actually don't know at this stage. For me personally, the second stop would be dictated how the rest of the race goes. How's that for you? Basically, what I mean by that is, are you in clear air, or are you getting held up? Are you under pressure from another car? that will dictate when I will do my second stop.
Well, the thing is, it's either going to work well, or you're going to pull into the pits and your plan just goes completely down the tubes, or you go and visit your pit boss and just...
Well, I know definitely for us, it's normally either one of the two.
But these are the things that you've got to consider in a race like this, and this is what brings a whole new challenge as see blue flags being waved for Brandon Kruger and Ryan Ottens to try and get past one of the Ferraris, and that's the whole dynamics that you have to get into it. And usually you can say, well, if I get into a busy situation, if I'm struggling to get round, if we land up with too many back markers, that's when you can pull into the pits to try and move yourself forward. But around Brands Hatch, there is no breathing room whatsoever. So how are you... It changes the usual dynamics that you would do. Unfortunately, sometimes it gets a little bit too difficult. And I just want to point out, big thank you on the Mettlestate Twitch side. Mama Succubus actually raiding with a party of 13. So, guys, thank you very much and welcome to the Grid Championship Season 2. Round 2. Glad to have you guys around. So, for petrol heads or future petrol heads, welcome to the sport that you want to be involved in, sim racing, and welcome to a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of carnage, all the thrills and spills right here on the Grid Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sim racing is one of those sports that you can do when you're 8 or 80. You know, it doesn't matter about the age. We can all race against each other.
Are you alluding to your age, gentlemen?
I'm halfway to 80. Well, all over halfway already. Giving away my age here on live air.
You definitely got the face for radio, my friend.
Yeah, you say I've got a face for radio, but yet you put up our faces each and every week for everybody to see.
That's getting closer to Halloween. Why not?
Yeah, almost October, né? Almost October.
Almost there. But absolutely incredible racing. Mac Vandermover feeling the pressure from Christopher Radloff at the moment as they try and battle their way through. Grant Sebastian duking out with Jason McGregor. Managed to go around the outside. McGregor trying to go up on the inside. Now it's drag race down to turn 2. Who's going to be late on the brakes? And McGregor trying his luck, trying to run the likes of Sebastian out a little bit wide. Manages to make it stick. But I think both of them looked to the left, looked to the right, saw the white in each other's eyes before they even hit the brake pedal into turn 2. That's for certain.
I mean, staring at each other while they go through the turn. But that's some excellent close racing we saw there. I mean, I don't want to say textbook, but it was absolutely a brilliant pass that as we look at Boa and just behind him Serradio. I mean, this is another little mid-engine, front-engine battle that we've got here. That Mercedes looking relatively planted through there, running a little bit wide. But through the tights and twisties, will the Honda have the upper hand, or can that Mercedes stay glued to the track for now at least?
Well, he's keeping very, very close to the rear bumper, trying to force a mistake. Andre Serradio just not getting the drive that's needed to catch up through the corners. He's doing his best. Very
well. Switch cameras.
Ow.
We didn't see that. It didn't happen.
Ow. Oh man, it's unfortunately that does happen. We gotta go back a little bit. And at this point, you can see keeping so close behind. And it's something I actually want to reiterate. At this distance, you have got the slipstream effect coming into play. You're within about 1 second. Turns in, clips of dirt, and you can see it's starting to get out of shape, touches the grass, and unfortunately, one side's got drive, the other side's got a whole lot of dirt, and one big smack in the wall later. Doesn't look too bent on the steering, but some damage is going to be on that car, and he's going to be feeling it through the race. Can get it repaired in the pit stop though, but it is going to cost valuable time.
Absolutely. I mean, if Serradio now has McGregor bearing down on him, that's less than a second behind, and it also does look like Grant Sebastian is also not too far behind. Stephen, we spoke about it earlier. Understeer, it wasn't the friend of the Mercedes there.
No, not at all. And it looks like, take a look at Jason McGregor, Tokyo Drift style in the Honda. Forget about the Honda 2000. Give me an NSX any day. And managed to keep it all together, but losing a bit of time. Serradio now having to go on the defensive to hold back, and Grant Sebastian trying his best to try and catch up ever so slightly to do it. But back up to a front, I want to point out this little battle that's still going on from the start of the race to 48 minutes. Cody Sherritt, Philip Minnaar. Cody did pull away. Philip Minnaar has dialed it back in and is coming right back at him. Lap times though, if we take a look, Cody Sherritt last lap time 123.2, Philip Minnaar 123.19. So I mean, this is incredibly close action for them, and I wonder how it's all going to turn out a little bit further back. And Andre Serradio has got Grant Sebastian, who went incredibly wide trying to go on the outside. Serradio going and doing everything he can to hold back Jason McGregor. McGregor forcing Sebastian to get out of the tow, and this is where the damage is starting to come into place.
Looking on the inside.
You're gonna be brave. Can he make it stick? Tries to do it.
Runs wide.
Serradio onto the dirt, but managing to hold it back. Tim, the cameraman, definitely drinking, but as we see Grant Sebastian getting by, Serradio going, well, I think he just became E.T.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think, unfortunately, he has... how can we put this? Left the server? Shame, Steve. I mean... yeah.
It's the only way I can pretty much sum it up, unfortunately.
I'm trying to find words at the moment.
Welcome to the Grid Championship. We do have a bit of fun.
and we take the racing very seriously.
Daniel Rowe going after Bago Krobler. Bago just opening the door, allowing Daniel Rowe to get by. And this is the two Hybrid Academy Dorama drivers doing what they can to move forward. Jason McGregor, though, parked in the wrong place, a little bit off apex. Let's go a little bit back and see what happened. That caused him to have this unfortunate spin. This is heading into turn 3, the one that I said you got to worry about. Gets it in, runs out. That Honda's sliding out underneath him. He needs to turn the traction control up just a bit. Tad. Whoa, into the dirt. And
that almost looks like steering wheel or pedals or something not being happy there. Or Spider.
Texting and driving.
We've had spiders in rigs before.
We've all, maybe it was just that time to go and get the water bottle. Unfortunately, the track just got a little bit too narrow. It does happen. Maybe the phone went off. These are all things we can put our tinfoil hats on and try and figure out what on earth happened. But well, all we could say is he lost it all by himself. There was no one around him.
Absolutely. If we look at this battle at the front, I mean, Sherritt and Minnaar, they've been going at each other now, as you said, from lap 1. Initially, Cody did open up a little bit of a gap. I think Minnaar was maybe struggling a little bit with the tires early on, getting them up to temperature. But ever since then, that Aston Martin has been working beautifully as we see him closing up under braking on that Honda. He's definitely got that Aston hooked up and putting Cody under a serious amount of pressure, Stephen.
Yeah, this is just incredible, and the lap times have been very consistent. The 123s, highest being the 123.6 to 123.6, 123.7 as their time. So they're averaging around about 123.5s, the two of them together, which is absolutely phenomenal. But Cody Sherritt actually putting in a little bit of a better time, and it looks like our lap board hasn't gone and updated it. Might have been a off-track run, but he managed to get a 123.017, so getting closer to that improvement that we're looking for. Philip Minnaar, actually he did a better lap time of 122.9, so breaking into the 22s, and this is where we're seeing the guys get a little bit more comfortable. It's closer to their low fuel runs now in terms of lap time, so I think they're getting closer and closer to that pit stop time. And well, this is when you start watching your mirrors very, very carefully to see and figure out where your competitor is and where you're going to be able to make a pass. And a little bit further down, Jason McGregor, once again, McGregor bailing off into the dirt and now having to wait an entire field before he can get going. So what on earth has gone on with McGregor? But that Honda is definitely not as hooked up as what it was, and is dropping him down the order. Ryan Otten's Brandon Kruger still slugging it out amongst each other. Tion Ilof actually getting by Christian Deploy, who dives into the pit. So let's go through the order as it stands, Janneman.
Well, currently in first place, we've got Cody Sherritt, followed very closely behind by Philip Minnar. Then in third place, we have Ryan Ottens. He's 13 seconds down the road. Fourth place, we've got Brandon Kruger, not far behind, only 0.8 of a second behind. Then Tian Ilof, 14 seconds back in fifth place. Johan Kleinans in sixth position. He's 9 seconds behind Ilof. Then seventh place, Mac van der Merwe. Eighth place, we've got Christopher Radloff. He's not far behind Mac van der Merwe. Ninth place, we've got Fleming Bauer. 10th place, Henry Meyer. 11th, Daniel Rowe. Daniel's struggling a little bit at this stage. Let's see if he can come back later on in the race. Then 12th place, Christian Deploy after his pit stop. So he's got a little bit of ground to make up. Currently, he is running second of the people that have already done their first pit stop. 13th place, Bego Grobler. Bego was actually one of the very first people to pit in the race. He's made his way up to 13th position after that early pit stop of his. Gideon Renner in 14th place. 15th place, Surgeon Pillay. We've seen Surgeon struggling a little bit. I think Surgeon is running a little bit lower down or high up. Say lower down the order than what he actually wants to run or what we used to seeing him running. 16th place, we've got Jason McGregor. Then 17th place, Dean Cabasa. Then 18th place, Tina Nkube. Then 19th place, Essie Esterhazen. Then rounding out our top 20 is Daniel de Villiers in 20th position. 21st place then goes to Grant Sebastian currently. Then Stephen, no.
Charles Schnur.
Schnur. Do we pronounce it Schnur?
I think it's Schnur.
If it's not, we humbly apologize in advance.
Scholl in the Honda.
Yeah,
Getting
Scholl
chased.
in the Honda.
There we go. Getting chased down by Daniel.
Daniel. No, getting chased down by Daniel.
Daniel DeMatteis Petro.
In 23rd position.
Try to say that without the nickname.
No, I'm just going for Daniel. Then in 24th place, we've got Paul Gerber making his return to the Pro Division. He was here last week as well, but Paul Gerber from Team Tryhard Racing. Then 25th position, we've got Rundebal. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Loic Rundebal.
Rundebal. Yeah. Got it. Then 26th position, we've got Justin Lotus. 27th position, Nicholas Manuel. Then 28th, Cameron de Bastos. 29th is Andre Serradio and Bernard King in 30th position. Unfortunately, we have lost Bernard Barkhuizen, but he's still in the pits in 31st position.
Early on, a strong drive, but unfortunately, wasn't able to make it work. But take a look, Ryan Otten's up into first place, Brandon Kruger into second, third is Jan Kleinans. It does look like Philip Minnar. He's come out. He is in fifth position. Cody Sherritt also, so they must have dived into the pits. And they've got it all sorted out. But taking a look, Philip Minnar, definitely tyres were done. Philip Minnar stopped in the box, 32 seconds. So that's tyres and fuel. And Cody Sherritt also tyres and fuel. But Cody putting in a little bit more fuel than Philip Minnar. Maybe having a little bit of a lead foot, trying to carry a little bit more towards the end compared to Philip Minnar, trying to reduce that splash and dash. Henry Mayo was stopped in the box. He did 7.6 seconds, so it was just a bit of fuel in the car and get going once again. But a couple of guys opting to change tyres early on. Ryan Otten's actually diving into the pits. Brandon Kruger saying, well, if you're going in, I'm coming in too. Kleinans now going to be making a way around the corner, the final bend. If he can get enough momentum, he'll be able to jump into first place, and Kleinans will be leading the race and first time leading the race for the grid series. So congratulations, Clarence, leading the field at the moment. Christopher Adloff in 4th place. Jumping up into 2nd, he's chasing down Ryan Otten, still in the pits. Brandon Kruger's still in the pits. They are in there for quite some time, I won't lie. And it does look like Philip Minard managing to get himself back into 3rd place. Cody Sherritt of the team PWSR going and moving their way up through the field. He's currently in 4th place. And you can be sure that he's got Alan going and telling him, listen, Cody, you got to work here, buddy. You got to represent. You got the championship. We can do it again.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Cody spent 3 seconds longer stationary than Philip. I think this is something that might play into Cody's hand a little bit later on into the race. If he can stick with Philip Minard, remember, he will have basically, and I'm making a prediction, and I might be horribly wrong, Alan, listening to me. Cody essentially...
You're going to get messages. You're going to get messages. Don't do it. You're going to do the commentator's curse. Don't do it.
I'm going to say it. Essentially, Cody would have a 3-second shorter stop later on in the race if my calculations are correct, and they are most probably horribly wrong.
Alan, please direct all messages to Yaneman, World's Slowest Alien Press, just if anything happens. Just taking a look, Robin McCall actually saying that the power has just gone out. So Morgan McCall, who was on the charge and disappeared off our leaderboards, unfortunately, has been informed that he is going to be watching the pro series, the pro class of the Grid Championship, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace. Rather unfortunate. It really, really is unfortunate, and we hate to see it happen. We really, really hate to see it happen, considering the guys have been really putting in a huge amount of work. Despite these being weekly races, hours and hours and hours of practice, thousands of laps to try and dial in these cars for just one race. To see it all go with that, it feels stolen, and it doesn't matter whether you're in the AM category or whether you're in the pro. You really put in that extra work. Oh, Justin Lotus, though. What on earth happened to Justin Lotus?
So a small little bit of contact there, if I'm not mistaken. I was watching it here on the side screen.
So it looks like it was going into turn 2. He's getting chased down by one of the Ferraris, and not sure if that's Cameron that was part of that incident. Yes, it was Cameron. The Bastos dived up the inside late on the brakes, and Justin Lotus getting turned around. Cameron continuing his way through it. Not quite,
way to make the pass.
Yeah, not quite the way that we want to see it pass, and it's rather unfortunate. Henry Mayer and Grant Sebastian actually coming in together. So let's see if we can go a little bit back on that incident. Diving up on the inside. Oh, drifting action from Henry Mayer.
We've seen a couple of Hondas drift tonight.
That's a try going up on the inside of Grant Sebastian. Just upset the car, but well held. I would say I'll give about 8.5 points. I wouldn't give it the full 10. I think, the exit might have been a little bit offsides. Didn't see any smoke, so I can't give some points for crowd show, but I'd say an 8 out of 10. What do you reckon?
Oh, we just saw a car.
That's Daniel De Villiers. That's Daniel De Villiers, who's lost out. Go back a little bit and see what happened to the Ferrari. I got a funny feeling the prancing horse decided it's going to visit the grass a little bit and turn him around. Yep, there's the grass. Trying to keep it all together. A bit of dirt on the tire, bit onto the marbles. Now going to seem a bit upset. There's the slide.
He actually missed the apex there, totally. Car's taking evasive action there.
All over the show. Take a look. Daniel De Villiers trying to bail himself into the pits, locking it up, and just a couple of guys having a difficult time. Henry Mayer actually managed to get ahead of Grant Sebastian, and also seeing there's a point of contact there between the two of them. What's happened? Same into turn 1 once again. There's the contact. There's the slide. Both of them go for it, but Grant Sebastian actually getting the better slide. Henry Mayer, unfortunately, parking himself on the top of Podium Hill. Does look like Grant Sebastian think he managed to let Henry Mayo back through, but not quite what they want to do. It's 2 for 2 through Podium Hill for these two drivers, and well, I don't think the rear tires are going to be happy. If we talk about the tire pressures when you catch a slide, when you get a bit of friction down to them, these guys generally run with a tire pressures about 26.8, 27s. About once you get a slide like that, you're going to be sitting with about 29s, tire pressure 29 psi, and well, 29 psi is good enough to go and wrap it up and turn it into a zebra or maybe a little balloon dog.
Well, it's one way of putting it, Stephen, but it definitely does hurt you for a while afterwards. You know, it's not just the slide, it's the flat spotting, it's the tire pressures going up, it's the heat in the carcass that goes up of the tire, and it hurts you for a good couple of laps after that, and you actually need to drive very carefully to get those tire pressures and temperatures back to where they need to be.
It's going to be it's a tough call. It is a very tough call, and Ryan Otten's trying his best and taking a look. Plainland's actually diving into the pits, and so is Brandon Kruger. So Brandon Kruger, this will be his final stop. If he can pull it off and get ahead of Christian de Ploy, who's making his way through the final corner, he would theoretically be net first. I don't think it's going to work, though. Coming out the pits, Christian de Ploy coming around turn one, saying, thank you very much. I'm going to get ahead and start chasing down the rest of the pack. Cody Sherritt, though, up into second place at the moment. Remember, he's still got one stop, maybe going for that later stop, maybe towards that last 15 minutes. We've seen the PWSR team do it. We've seen it actually work out well for them, and maybe keeping back to if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely. And just two drivers that I would quickly like to touch on is Daniel Rowe and Bego Krobler, up into 4th and 5th position. I mean, they still got one pit stop to do, Stephen, but at this stage they're not lying in too bad a position after making one pit stop. I mean, they've climbed their way back up to the field. I mean, Bego at some stage was close to the back end. I don't want to say close to the back end. I don't want to offend Bego, but he was to the rear of the field after making that very early pit stop of his, and now into 5th position.
Loker and Arbel also in a bit of a battle, but if we take a look at where people are at the moment, first place Philip Minard, he started out in second place. Cody Sherritt actually started first, he's down into second, so lost one position. Bego Krobler, as we spoke about, he has moved up 12 places from the start of the race. Daniel Demetrios Petro also moved up 12 places, with Tini and Kube up 13 positions. Christian de Ploy trying to make his way around, and well, the Ferrari not giving him too much run. Loker and Arbel up 14 positions from his start. Started in 32nd, he's up into 18th position. So a couple of people have really made some big moves during this race, and I've got to say, I'm rather impressed with everyone and the way they've been moving forward.
I mean, absolutely. They've been a couple of losers as well. I mean, Jason McGregor down 12 places and Gideon Renner also 10 places. So they've lost out a little bit. But overall, I mean, Steve, as we run through it, as you've mentioned, there's a couple of big movers throughout the field.
We call them movers and shakers, or they shake their hips like Elvis. Sujin Pillai's trying right now, up on the inside like a rock star. Gonna try and make it sick Bauer. Unfortunately, falling down. That's how you do it. So Sujin Pillai, the cool cat, managing to get by, and you can be sure on Sujin Pillai's portfolio of taking some amazing shots, that having a Honda and a Ferrari next to one another into turn 2 like that is definitely going to be one of the killer shots he's going to be sharing.
Yeah, especially when you're driving a cool red and yellow Ferrari like he is driving tonight.
It's absolutely amazing stuff. See the guys battling, but don't count out Bauer just yet. He is keeping incredibly close to the back of Sujin Pillai, hoping to try and force a mistake, hoping to try and get things going. But knowing that Sujin Pillay has got no pit stops left, he's got no pit stops left, they've got to be careful on tire usage, not getting too much damage onto it, and they've got to be so careful when it comes to it. And it does look like he is getting chased down right behind him, which if it looks like it, that might be McGregor that's actually closed down on him. So McGregor of the hybrid Marlboro, and definitely not running on hybrid power at the moment because there is no replacement for displacement, and that's why you have a turbocharged V6 going and clawing your way through. I think this is the V6.
I'm not mistaken. It's a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 engine in the back of that Honda.
Just your standard lawnmower. Maybe a Genie.
Not quite the V8 in the Ferrari.
Well, fair enough. If we, you can't go wrong for a twin turbo. How many kVA can that Honda put out?
I don't know.
If someone finds that I'm not breathing tomorrow, it's all the Honda fans that took me out for that comment.
Honda, the Honda is a very simple car. If you down on horsepower compared to the V8s and the V10s, just put more boost through it, and off you go, and kick that VTEC.
Got to use the VTEC. Got to use the VTEC. But when your competitor is also in a Honda like Bauer's got, and McGregor having to slam on the brakes, just take a look at when they go into turn 1, just on the nose when they start getting onto the brakes. See how far the nose actually dips down on the likes of McGregor.
Inside, it's close through Podium Hill, but he makes it stick.
Not many moves can be pulled off there. Well,
and shuts that door right through turn 2.
Absolutely amazing. Straight onto the back of Sujin Pillay. But take a look at McGregor's car when he gets on the brakes of how low that nose actually goes down. That tells you that the front nose is very softly sprung. And he's trying to just push the nose into the ground to force the car to brake as hard as possible. And, making up some moves like that, but it is going to put a lot of strain on those front tires under braking, and very easy to lock them up because you're shifting all the way to the nose. And you're moving about 30-40 kilos from the rear all the way to the nose and then moving back, which can also cause the front to lighten up underneath you and land up with more trouble than good. So he's going to be so careful with it. It does look like Henry Mayer, who's a little bit up ahead. He's going after Daniel Demetrio Petro, also in the Honda, as they drift their way through Podium Hill. So some very close battles right the way around, and the Hondas seem to be the ones to keep an eye on. So, mad respect for the Hondas. That's why in Formula 1 they did pretty okay.
Yeah, and I'm pretty certain you love to see the Hondas around the track. I mean, it's one of your favorite cars, and it's a car that has not been raced all that much in a couple of seasons. So it's good to see them back.
The Hondas actually for a long time not favored because they were understeery, high tire usage, everything. But it seems like the recent updates, they have fixed it. The Hondas being one of the more beautiful cars, in my opinion, that are out on circuit, actually getting to see the real thing, really tells a lot. It's also a bit smaller than you actually think it is. So there we go, Jace McGregor actually getting past Sujin Pillay, and Sujin actually dropping way down. It looks like Bauer tried coming back onto him. But the Hondas really putting on a stunning show. They're stunning to look at. They're stunning to drive after the recent update. And I'm glad to see it. I'm really glad to see it. You can't beat old reliable, same as like what Christopher Radloff is driving. The new reliable, not the old reliable. And that is the BMW M4 GT3. Unfortunately,
the Bentley replacements.
It's got the beaver teeth front grille. That's...
Now, I've got another question for you. Does that mean in a couple of seasons we'll have the GTR back?
Can I be brutally honest?
Go for it.
I hope not.
Just dared to put it out there.
The Godzilla was an amazing vehicle. It's an amazing feat of engineering, and when it came out as a GT3 car, it really cleaned out the competition super quickly. that guys were trying to figure out what to do. It didn't use much on the tires. We see a little Daniel going a little bit sideways and having to catch the car. It was fishtailed. But yeah, the Nissan GTR was an incredible car when it came out and was a truly dominating force. Nissan really building an amazing machine. Henry Mayer going sideways. But I feel that it suffered in terms of transition to games. It was abnormally powerful. Every game made it abnormally powerful. And as soon as the BOP came in, the guys started doing more and more into the BOP work. That's when you started seeing its weaknesses come out, where the advanced engineering was amazing, but it started having more difficulty of how heavy the car naturally is. And as in the world of real GT3 racing, BOP comes out a little bit more, weight's being increased, and it does not help when you've got a car that's usually, much like the McLaren MP12-C, that was sitting at around about 1,300 to 1,400 kilograms, so about 1.3 tons. The GTR was sitting around about roughly the same weight. Christian Deploy actually he landed up in the dirt. So what happened to Christian Deploy? I think maybe dropped the wheel on the dirt, and that just got the car a little bit more upset. Slides it around. The Mercedes running onto the dirt. Guys, getting very close. They're trying their luck. Lady luck. Let's see if you're in the pit. Or is it Murphy with 13 spanner? Yep, that's Murphy. That's Murphy with the 13 spanner, unfortunately. Steering him left into the wall, coming back. But not quite the way he wanted to have his racing going at the moment. So yeah.
Last question about cars. I think I know which car you are waiting for, which GT3 car you are waiting for to launch.
I can talk about the current GT3 car that's racing in the Asian Le Mans series. That would be my ideal car to have. And I won't lie, that is going to be the big old Chevy Z06. Long nose, short back, amazing brute force. Got a supercharger, I won't lie. It's not a pure V8, but it's close enough. If we talk about the new GT3 that has been announced, it's probably going to be coming to the world of SRO, not in the too distant future. It has been announced that it will be attending IMSA come 2024, and that is the Chevrolet... What do they call it? It was a copy of the GTE that they just changed into a GTD car. The CR, I think it was the CR6 that's coming into it.
Mayer running very wide through there.
Yeah, Mayer going and having a good one. But if you had to look through the field, what would you say your car to go for?
Well, Steve, in terms of GT3 cars, there's only one that I'm racing, and it's that one currently on screen. It is the BMW.
Oh, it's old reliable. It works. It's been proven and really been styling and flying throughout the race. So, yeah.
For me, personally, it's I'm not the fastest out there, so I'm looking for consistency, and I just find that the BMW is, for me personally, the most consistent car that is currently out there in the GT3 market that we are racing.
Christopher Adloff actually losing a bit of time. Fleming Bauer landed up a little bit off circuit. So, while we've got a little bit of downtime here, let's go through the grid. Philip Minnar currently in first place. He's getting chased down by Cody Sherritt. Ryan Otten's currently in third. Daniel Rowe in fourth. Tian Ilov in fifth place. Sixth place is Bego Krubler, followed by Jan Kleinans, Brandon Kruger, Christian Deploy, Mac van der Merwe rounding out your top 10. Daniel Demetrio Petro trying to close down on him, but a little bit too far back, about 23.4 seconds behind. That's a tall order task to try and close down Henry Mayer in 12th. 13th is Paul Gerber, followed by Jason McGregor, Sujin Pillay, Christopher Radloff in 16th, 17th, Fleming Bauer, Grant Sebastian in 18th, 19th place is Dean Kabasa, Tenny Nkube in 20th, 21st SES House, followed by Justin Lotus, Charles Schnur, I do apologize if I get that wrong, Loic Rendabel down in Rendabel, I do apologize, in 24th. 25th is Gideon Rayner, Daniel De Villiers in 26th. 27, Cameron DeBastos. Andre Serradio in 28th. Bernard Barquez still in the pits. Couple of retirements, unfortunately. 29 cars in the server. 28 still circulating at the moment. Currently, net first is going to be this man over here, Brandon Kruger, who has completed all his pit stops. Last pit stop actually was stopped for 6 seconds. So got out 22 seconds and is now 7.4 seconds behind Clay Nuns, a little bit ahead. Henry Mayer still going after Daniel Petro. They still keeping very, very close. Sujin Pillay actually getting overtaken by Christopher Radloff. Christopher going in, working his way through. A little bit of team orders, I think, was spoken there, saying, listen, I'm coming through, whether you like it or not. We can play nice, or we can go racing. And Sujin deciding, listen, I'm going to give him the gap, going to utilize the toe, pull myself along, think of the long game into it. So knowing Christopher Radloff still needs to pit, he's not too worried about it. Couple of cars still needing to pit. Philip Minnar, Cody Sherritt, Ryan Ottens, Daniel Rowe, Tiana Olaf, Vega Krobler, Clay Nuns in 7th place. Brandon Kruger has completed also. First, 7th, haven't been able to the pit. Well, saying that, I get called a liar immediately. Thank you, Philip Miller, for calling me a liar on that one, because you immediately came into the box. And keeping ahead, is it going to be enough to get ahead of Brandon Kruger? I think he's well enough ahead of Brandon Kruger, which is going to put him into a net first. But now Cody Sherritt is one we need to keep an eye out for. 44 laps completed. He's still got one more pit stop to go. 17 minutes left of the race. I think around about that 15-minute mark is going to be where we see the PWSR machine climb into the pits, get himself sorted, and get back out.
Now, here's the thing. We spoke about it earlier on. Cody was stationary for 3 seconds longer than Minnar on the previous stop. So, essentially, we can say Cody, needs to spend 3 seconds less in the pits this time around. If that is the case, he was 3.5 seconds behind Minnar when Minnar pitted. Steven, it's going to be close. We're gonna have to switch to dual monitoring on that one, and one monitors the car in the pits while the other one monitors the car out on track.
Well, I just want to answer a question. This actually came out on Twitch, and I do apologize for missing this, guys. My bad. I'm going to give myself a slap on the wrist there.
You need a harder slap than that.
Oh, definitely. T-Roy actually going and asking, are the races time-based? Yes, it is. They are 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's not done on laps. You've got 1 hour and 20 minutes with mandatory 2 pit stops to get this one right, compared to the usual basis of that you can actually run lap times here. In the Grid Championship, we get given that 1 hour and 20 minutes to make or break it. Sometimes break it badly. We have got multiple servers that are up, not only just for our pros, like you're seeing on circuit, the fastest of the fast here in South Africa, duking it out, but we do have our Pro-Am, our AM server, and our Gold and Silver as well. So we got roughly about 5 servers actively running right now, all with full grids, all with 1 hour and 20 minutes. We've seen a couple of times where the guys have thrown in a little bit of wet weather to just spice things up, and if you're in the lower tiers, like I was in Gold, we didn't get to, well, Gold and Silver, we didn't get to have too much wet weather racing, because it was for the guys still getting to grips with the world of ACC. So different levels of experience, and this is the thing. We see it here in RaceFace. We see it around with different leagues that are, you can go and look. There is amazing leagues out there, along with RaceFace and Mettlestate, all with a variety, 4 different skill levels, for a social level or a highly competitive level, like what we're seeing out on circuit at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you described it beautifully there. RaceFace basically catering for all different kind of skills levels, and I don't think people, or a lot of people, realize how many cars, drivers are actually racing tonight. We are only seeing about a quarter of the racing what's going on tonight.
And we've got some side-by-side action. Bago Krobler up onto the inside. Kleinans having to back out and diving into the pits. He's deciding he's going to get himself all sorted out. These two still going. Henry Mayer, Daniel Petro going and slugging it out. And really having a bit of fun out there. Absolutely amazing stuff. And cutting the curb a little bit much. Both of them actually landing up. And, Henry Mayer, I talked about cutting the curb. There's the drive-through penalty. And that is what Daniel wanted to see. A drive-through penalty, which means that Henry Mayer will have to come into the pits. He is going to lose those positions. So for Daniel, he can come off the gas a little bit, see that the pits, that he's got it. But that also tells me that Daniel hasn't got any lifelines left as well, because he was hunting Henry Mayer, and it's only so many times that you can tempt fate before it bites back. And, well, that's what we had. Jesse McGregor, he's trying to get himself going. Henry Mayer actually going and getting himself through. Mac van der Merwe, Daniel DiMaggio Petro getting a little bit sideways just before I cut the camera change. Terrible me. Wow.
Yeah, that's that. You know, that was a sound effect from me. I saw the rear end of that Honda stepping out. I'm keeping an eye here on the side on Cody Sherritt, who still has not pitted. He's still, pumping in the laps. Maybe, Alan, can you give us some inside information on when Cody's going to come into the pits? Very doubt it, but they say it's free to ask.
You got to bribe him with a chocolate milkshake, I'm just saying. Maybe 1 or 2 fizzes. That might be an idea.
That's you, Stephen. I doubt if that's Alan.
Robert Wentworth going and saying, we're going to be at the 9 hour. Well, personally, unfortunately, I'm not going to be at the 9 hour to see the incredible GT3 cars out on the circuit. But you can be sure I'll be keeping an eye on all the racing come on the live streams. So really looking forward to seeing these cars out in South Africa going and doing battle, especially a lot of the cars coming back from the Bathurst 12-hour just recently. So we're going to see those same cars landing up in South African soil. But 12 minutes left. Cody Sherritt has not pulled into the pit, so that threw my 15 minutes window completely out the door. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. Henry Mayer, who's right onto the back of Paul Gerber. Paul Gerber, part of Team Tryhard, one of the founding members of Team Tryhard, which is the sister team to Hybrid Academy, and also runs a little league called Refined Racing that's currently racing Radical SR8s at the moment. Yeah, the SR8. So switching out the mid-engine Radical open top, wind blowing through the hair or maybe through the toupee, I'm not quite sure, and jumping into the Porsche to go and have a bit of fun here, returning to, as you said, returning to the pro category. He was racing a little bit in the lower rounds, but has moved himself up subsequently. Sujin Pillay just ahead of him now, starting to pull away, and Paul Gerber just focusing on a hard charge at the moment, with the McLaren chasing him down, hoping to try and keep it all together. Guys are starting to feel it, and this is where I've got to talk about the fatigue coming in. A lot of guys have switched to using direct drives, varying from 5 Newton meters to 9 Newton meters to even higher, 26 Newton meters, 21 to 26 to 30 Newton meters. For anyone that doesn't know, those are super powerful, heavy steerings that gives you a lot of force feedback. That makes the steering a little bit easier, but it also goes and gives you a little bit more feeling. Does wear down the arms though, does wear down the body. You've really got to muscle the cars around. Some guys actually still using their G29s, but the focus that's needed to ensure that you hit your brake markers lap after lap, to ensure you put in those incredible lap times, it's going to cause a little bit of eye strain, a bit of fatigue there. The mental fatigue starting to kick in. A lot of these guys have been working all day, jumping into the rig at night, and, well, getting closer and closer to 10 o'clock. The guys are going to be feeling a little bit tired, and, well, this is where we're going to start seeing mistakes happening more and more often. And now that the field is literally amongst itself, and you want to talk about, we saw the track map previously, take a look at it now. The guys not having too much breathing room. They are on top of one another, from the fastest guys and the slowest guys all duking it out. So they've got to be so careful with that, and not to make a mistake with only 10 minutes left to go. Henry Mayer, though, just taking a look, yellow flags, and trying to get himself back onto circuit. So Henry Mayer landed up with a problem and allowed Fleming Bauer to go through. Fleming's like, oh, thank you very much. I'll just take that and keep going. I appreciate the effort. We saw yellow flags in Podium Hill. So one of the cars, unfortunately, either having a problem in Podium Hill or into turn 2. That's who we had yellows bring up. Kleinans and Tian Ilof going and duking out. We don't get to chat about Tian Ilof a little bit much, old Ilof. Do apologize for getting that wrong. But one of the newer drivers to the Grid Championship and has really been getting better and better every time I see him out onto the circuit, and especially for the pros, and has really made some amazing moves to claw his way through. I'm very impressed. I'm super impressed to see it, and same as like Team Kleinans going and duking it out there, how close they're racing. It's just, this is what you love to see. This is what we come to see, giving the people what they want. Some epic action, close racing, some highs and lows, thrills and sprills. This is Brands Hatch in a nutshell, and it's only round 2 of this amazing championship with a, I've got to say, just amazing time. And take a look at the likes of Ilof trying to hold back Kleinans and doing whatever he can at this point to keep going, but only 4 cars needing to pit. And it looks like one. Yeah, that's one of the BMWs going from the Hybrid Academy. And that might have been Justin Lotus going and diving out the way, opting he's not going to get too involved in this battle. But Kleinans is sweeping across the nose of the likes. Ilof is sweeping across the nose of Kleinans the whole time, ensuring they can defend that position no matter what.
Absolutely, and Ryan Ottens has dived into the pits, currently in 3rd position, so that has allowed Philip Minnaar past. So Philip Minnaar retaking that 2nd position, but out in front still Cody Sherritt with 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Stephen, he still needs to do his pit stop. He's basically got 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to do his pit stop, so he will have to pit in the next lap or 2, otherwise he will not make that pit window.
Into the last corner, and it's going to keep going. He needs to have roughly about a gap of about 23 seconds. He's got 24.2 seconds to try and get it right. Is he going to cut it down to the white? Dives into the pits. So Cody Sherritt is into the pits. We jump to Philip Minnaar. So Jonathan, I know you're going to be keeping a very close eye on the likes of Cody Sherritt.
Keep an eye on Cody, yeah.
All right, we have got Minnaar coming through Moss, now heading towards the final corner, flat out, really giving it everything he's got, catching up to Loic just ahead of him, around the final corner, barreling down, getting onto the straight.
I think Minnaar's got him. Cody only getting going now, Minnaar going past.
Minnaar coming across the line, taking that first place. Cody Sherritt, who is only leaving the pits now. I think it was left a little bit too late. And now he has roughly, if we take a look at it, he has got just under 6 laps. I would say about 5 or 4 laps to try catch up to our first place man. Yeah, he's got to get going. Remember, his tires are cold as can be. They've just been taken out the freezer in this way, because even though he didn't change it, he was stationary for about 6.5 seconds. That means there's a lot of heat dissipation during that time, and he's going to try and get everything back up to optimal temperature before he can really slam in those lap times. And Philip Minnaar, who's actually getting caught behind back markers, this is not what he wants to have as well. Looks like he's going to pass Andres Radio, but he's got Cameron de Bastos. It's not Cameron de Bastos. I think that is Loic Rendable. Yes, it's Loic Rendable just ahead, and Loic is giving him a rough time. Christopher Radloff going and getting a drive-through penalty. So he's got 1 extra pit stop and is not going to be happy with that. But Philip Minnaar getting held up quite a bit. That is just going to hurt at this point, and allowed Cody Sherritt to close up onto him. 5.7 seconds to first place. Cody Sherritt, the defending champion, going after Philip Minnaar, who's the current leader of the championship. It is going to be a utter race to the end. Alan Patterson saying, unfortunately, he's not in comms at the moment with the likes of Cody Sherritt. So he's also sitting nail-biting at this point, trying to figure out what's going to happen. A little bit further down, Daniel Rowe, Tian Ilof duking it out. Daniel Rowe trying to keep ahead of Tian Ilof with Kleinans, who's closing down on them. I mean, this is turning into a run for the money right down through the field. Everyone's having a bit of action here, and lots of thrills and spills at the moment. But Elof, who is currently up 2 positions from his starting position, is going after Daniel Rowe, who moved up 7 positions since the start, and now has got Kleinans right behind him, really trying to stick that nose in of the Honda. So talk about a difficult situation, being between a rock and a hard place at this point. Elof is going to be taking deep breaths, focusing, and he's going to take 1 lap without breathing, that's for certain.
I mean, absolutely brilliant drive up into 7th position, but it's not over yet. Stephen, this is by far the closest battle we currently have on track, and it is a 3-way battle we've got going on. Not just 2 cars, but 3 duking it out with less than 4 minutes to go, and there's absolutely nothing between them.
Oh, Kleinan's managing to get by, just puts his car strategically and forcing Elof into the dirt. Daniel Rowe trying to get a little bit more space between himself and the 2 drivers. You can see Elof taking actually a bit of a tighter line as they make their way through turn 6, turn 7. And tries it once again. Daniel Rowe really just going and putting his elbows out at this point, trying to stop the little Honda from getting past. Kleinan's all over the back of him. Elof now closed down, and it seems like he's got a slightly better run out of Moss. Heading into our final corner, late on the brakes. Daniel Rowe just managing to brake a fraction later. Kleinan's trying to go around the outside, carrying enough momentum through. Is it going to be what he needs to go into podium? Tries to look for it. Kleinan's trying to go around the outside. Oh, contact for the likes of Kleinan's. Elof just going and putting his front tires just behind the Kleinan's, and unfortunately Kleinan's trying to move back onto the apex, and contact was made. Now it's up to the likes of Elof to go after Daniel Rowe. Not what he wanted to see there, not what's planned, and well, Kleinans has got a bit of work there. He hasn't got too much damage on the car, but those tires are going to be absolutely knackered. And I think he's got to focus on keeping a survival drive ahead of Beggar Frobler. Elof now getting into the toe of Daniel Rowe, closing down 0.4 of a second. Tries to look on the inside, too far away to make it happen. Trying once again, going to follow suit. You can see Daniel Rowe trying to lean on the brakes a little bit to try and force Elof off his tail, trying to break that toe. And the simple things that you can do is just try and go maybe a fraction slower in a certain corner, just to get the guy to gear a little bit wrong and see if that can break him up. But it's very, very difficult. Brands Hatch is one of these more technical circuits. They lean on it for quite a bit, and this is why I love it, because you can either make it work, or you're going to be visiting the spectators who are cheering loudly on the back for the epic racing action happening. Cody Scherer at 6 seconds behind Philip Minor, so I think that race is pretty much sorted out. Daniel Rowe actually running around.
Yellow slowing down. Yellow has slowed down.
Right. Yellow, I wonder, is it a
fuel? He's
Jumping
definitely slowing down. Oh, he's
First
down
gear.
into 1st gear.
2nd gear? I think, ladies and gentlemen, yep, there's the stutter.
Oh.
I think he had to change his engine mapping ever so slightly. The Aston Martin saying, I'm a little bit thirsty at the moment, buddy. Trying to short shift it just to ensure that he can get it to the line. I think Elof, unfortunately, and he's got himself back up to pace just to let the guys through, but I think Elof is struggling with fuel. I think he got a solid fuel warning saying, listen, yeah, it's not going to work. Or did he slow down to allow Kleinans to get by? That might be the other option. Kleinans has
It's
now
also
got
a
past.
possibility, yeah.
So, possibility that Elof, knowing the mistake, did back off, sacrificed his run with Daniel Rowe, allowed the likes of Kleinans to get by, and wants to go racing once again. Final lap, though, for our leader, and here he comes, really barreling his way through, entering into the final corner. Philip Minor has managed to pull it off for round number 2 in the Aston Martin of Rigoli Racing Winter 23. Round number 2 of the Mettlestate Grid Championship. And well done and well deserved.
It's 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Second place, Cody Sherritt with a recovery drive of note. But unfortunately, a little bit too late. And honestly, you know what? Take my hats off to him. After a terrible race number 1, it's a great recovery to come into second place. Ryan Otten's making his way through. He's going to be finishing up in third place in the Porsche, doing a phenomenal job for the Hybrid Academy team. Brandon Kruger coming across the line. He's going to be finishing in fourth place. Christian Deploy trying to work his way through. Going to try maybe thread the needle. Nah, going to let the teammates all try go 3 by 3, and he's just going to hang around.
Yeah, too many BMWs.
Too many BMWs, too much Patronus, and the 80k driver coming across. Daniel Rowe, who is in 6th place, making his way around the corner, is going to be taking 6th. He is going to be followed by this man over here, Playnan Su. Had a little bit of a tap, but managed to recover himself and done a phenomenal job. Tian Elof coming across the line as well, finishing in 8th place. Bago Krobler in 9th place. 10th place going to Mac van der Merwe. Suja Pillay in 11th. Paul Gerber in 12th. Fleming Bauer in 13th. Henry Meyer in 14th. 15th is Daniel Dematos Petro. Dean Cabasa. Grant Sebastian. Tinian Kube. Essie Esterhaus, a little bit of burnouts going on. Christopher Radloff, well, not burnouts, donuts. Gee, Stephen, talk English. Come on, read a dictionary. Justin Lotus in 21st. Charles Suner, I do apologize. But actually, I want to get his surname. I want to get it right. That is
ask for that voice note. Ask for the voice note.
It will be the voice note. Loic Randabel finishing up in 23rd. Gideon Rayner in 24th. Done a really good job in the McLaren. Daniel de Villiers in 25th. 26th, Cameron de Bastos. Followed by Jason McGregor of the Marlboro Hybrid, and he actually doesn't cross the line, so I think he's just off the ball in the pits due to the race end. Andres Herradia in 28th, Bernard Barkhazen in 29th. A couple of retirements, but what a phenomenal race, gentlemen, and wow. Brands Hatch doing what Brands Hatch does best.
Yeah, I know. Brands Hatch has definitely lived up to its name, especially I think Podium Hill as well. But Steve, we're done racing in Britain. Next round, we're moving to the United States of America.
Yeah,
at Watkins.
Switching out the coffee, switching out the tea for the coffee.
Yeah, and I believe we're about to go bowling.
Biggity, 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 let's go racing, as they say. No, that's going to be Indianapolis. That's going to be the race after Watkins Glen, but we're going to be jumping to America. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute honor. Big thank you to everyone for the incredible, seeing the chats. I've got to say, big thank you to see everyone busy talking and jumping in and giving us a bit of insight and a bit of information. But, Jan, from your side, anything you want to say in closing?
Well, we've seen some very, very close racing tonight. I mean, at one point, there was literally battles going, on up and down the grid. Brands Hatch, Stephen, I mean, we all know that have raced on Brands Hatch. It's not the easiest of circuit. It's a very tight, twisty circuit. You've mentioned it on a couple of occasions. It's a very follow the leader in some parts. But yet we've seen guys pulling off passes, brilliant passes tonight through those sectors that you're not normally supposed to go side by side through. I think now we're well into the season. We've done 2 rounds. Now we're on to round 3. I think now the true battle for the championship is going to start.
Well, 8 rounds to make it or break it, that's for certain. And, well, it's been incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us. If you're on Mettlestate out on Twitch, and if you're actually on YouTube, switch over to Twitch. Make sure you give them a follow. And if you can, hook a subscribe as well. If you got a bit of Prime, make sure you go do it. It's free. Why not? It doesn't hurt at all. Hit subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of all the gaming action, whether it's racing, first-person shooters, plus more, lots of competitions going on. I know they've actually got a little bit of a fighting competition that's going to be happening at Mettlestate, so keep an eye on that one. It's something not to miss with all the action. If you're out on YouTube, look up RaceFace.Pro, and for everyone here, hit that subscribe icon, hit the bell notification icon to be notified of all the racing from RaceFace for all the GT3 action. And at a later stage, we're going to be having some open wheel action along with dirt. So that's stuff you don't want to miss as well coming to RaceFace. But I've got to say thank you very much, and thank you for joining us from Yanneman, the world's slowest alien, or like we like to call him, Vin Petrol. And myself, Stephen Koenig, the world's fastest backmarker. We want to say thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.